Hello and welcome to The Real Franchise, a video series designed to deliver real information, real answers and real insights into franchising. This series is brought to you by James Home Services Australia. I'm the CEO and Justin is one of our owners and our head of new businesses. Together, we're going to tackle all of the big topics, unscripted, unplanned and unfiltered. No sales, no fluff. We're just going to give you information straight up. Today's topic is all about how we steer the ship. Where are we going? What is James Home Services Australia going to look like at the end of this year, the end of next year, and beyond? How big do we want to be? What is our ethos? How do we operate? What kind of moral compass do we use? Today, we're going to talk about all of those things so that if you're researching us, if you're considering a bit of a change, if you're thinking that maybe a James business might be right up your alley, then you can get a real feel for whether what you're looking for in terms of a new business environment is what we're trying to create here at James. So Justin, let's just dive straight into the big question. How do we steer the ship and where are we taking James Home Services Australia in the next few years?
I think just coming right back to the basics, how we steer the ship is driven by this thing we call gold medal service. All of our advertising, for people that are looking into James, you'll see this logo. I call it our secondary logo of gold medal service. And for me, it means four key things. And I say this to everyone when I do the initial information session, that gold medal service means being prompt, professional and friendly. But the fourth thing that's the foundation of everything, and this is how we steer the ship, is it's by acting honestly and with integrity at all times. And I think foundationally that flows right through the business, and that starts with, that's how we steer the ship, is with acting with honesty and with integrity in everything that we do. And I know that's for both of us, that's been one of the key things right from day one, that we've gone, right, we've got to stay true to our morals and keep that compass in front of us all the time, because it is a challenging business environment. Yeah.
You can see that even in this video series, really, the fact that what we do is we just talk about the topics openly and give as much information as possible. We're not trying to gatekeep. Gatekeeping is 10 years ago. We don't do that. And, we don't try and ask someone to submit an inquiry and then jump through 10 hoops before we'll just share information about our network and about where we're going and about who we are and about what we do and about what it costs and what the likelihood of success is and the leads that we generate. We just talk about all that stuff really openly. And that is us living out our ethos of being open and honest and working with an enormous amount of integrity sitting behind everything that we do and all of the decisions that we make. Yeah, it's really important. Where are we going? What are the goals for James Home Services in the next couple of years?
Yeah, this is something I think for both of us, we've been really honing in on that. When we took over the company 4 years ago now, I think we had all these big wild dreams, which were all great. But I think as you start to walk a journey, like we've really found, and we've been sharing in the previous episodes, the sorts of people that this business really works for. So that's really caused us to focus our goals into, we don't want to be, well, we certainly don't need to be the hugest franchise in this space. And I think you'd agree, Rhiannon, we don't want to be that.
No, we don't. We don't want to be the biggest. We don't want to be the loudest. We don't want to be the most polarizing. We don't need to be out there in everybody's faces every 5 seconds, but we want to be the best. We want to be the best at what we do, the best in supporting our teams, and the best in terms of the service that our teams offer their customers. That's what we want. Absolutely. And I think actually in order to pursue that goal of being the best, it actually lends itself perfectly to being smaller, because smaller means we are not this careering out of control behemoth. Being smaller means that you and I still have personal contact on a daily basis with our team members, with our franchisees who are at the coalface, who are the ones carrying our brand for us and on behalf of us. It's really important, I think, that actually our goals over the last couple of years have been refined down. We did have a goal of being around 500 franchisees strong in the first 5 years. And we're 4 years in and we're nowhere near that number. And we have since refined that number down. And now what we're really aiming for is a network of 200 to 300 really amazing businesses that are kicking goals personally and professionally for themselves, that are earning what they would like to be earning, whatever that is for them. We don't stipulate what that is. You know, we obviously have some targets around what we know people need to be earning to break even in one of these businesses, as well as what is a general understanding of what people need to be earning then to cover lifestyle costs.
Yes.
But being smaller allows us to work with people individually and one-on-one and in a really consolidated and logical kind of a way to get them to their goals. And I just think that when you're enormous, you can't afford that kind of time and investment in each of your teams. And so for us, it's been a case of actually adapting our business model so that it works at a smaller number so that we feel we can service that number a lot better.
Yes, that's totally agree. Yep. I think, we were originally thinking thousands of, businesses around the country, and that's a great dream, but we've learnt it's so much better, so much more efficient. And I think our head office team also enjoy working with a team we know, like nationally. You and I both know, well, I personally know every single person in this network, business owner, and there's not many huge businesses out there that can say that. And it lends to a whole lot of things, that we can be agile. You and I get a lot better information back, I think, because we're a lot closer to the coalface, so to speak. And so we can make better informed decisions. And it's just been really exciting to see how we've been able to, focus and get that direction. And really, as we've been even developing these episodes in this podcast series, that we've just become clearer and clearer on who we see does really well in these businesses. And then ethically, if we're going to talk about that moral compass, ethically, well, that's who we really want to be focusing and working with to help, those groups of people.
Yeah. We, when I'm interviewed for outside podcast series, I've done quite a few now. And one of the questions I get asked an awful lot is, what are the goals? How big do you want to be? Where are you going? And the sort of listeners of those podcasts, they really are listening because they want, they're listening to inspirational business leaders talk about growth and development. So often the question is kind of a loaded one. They're wanting me to give some aspirational kind of an answer. And I kind of have to preface and say, actually, my answer is going to be like a little bit low key and a little bit boring. But actually, I'm not chasing numbers for numbers' sake. We're not chasing growth for the sake of saying that we're growing really quickly. We're not chasing growth for the sake of headlines. We're not chasing growth for the sake of numbers. We're not chasing growth so that, all of the reporting sheets that we give to directors, we're not chasing growth for that. We're chasing growth sustainably because we know we've built a system that genuinely supports people to grow great businesses, and we want to share that. Yep. We know that we've got a platform that when you follow our system, the system works for you and you can grow an incredibly successful and sustainable business within our network. And we back our system. So we want growth because we want to share our hard work with others, but we don't need to be enormous in order to do that. And in fact, if we are, we lose that personal touch.
That's right.
I often say to our head office team, and you and I often talk about this, we have a little bit of a saying at head office. It's we steer this ship with sharp business acumen, but a strong moral compass. Okay. And the sharp business acumen is what you employ a CEO for. The CEO is in charge of making sure that you're making really sharp business decisions. They stack up financially, you're heading in the right track. The CEO is implementing your directions as the directors of the company as to where we're going. And you can only do that with sharp business acumen. You've got to know what you're doing. It's not just we think we're going here and we think we're going here and we think we're doing this. No, sharp business acumen. But the important part to that statement is the second part, and is the part about strong moral compass. And frankly, when it comes down to making harder decisions in this network, what guides those decisions is that strong moral compass. And how we steer the ship really comes down to that strong moral compass every single day. Yeah.
And I think, like, I was just looking at some figures in our system yesterday, and that strong moral compass, you can see the fruits of that playing out now. I was just looking, most companies would go, oh, you've got to chase numbers, right? And we have this subscription model that no one else has. People can get in for only $1,000.
Yep.
It's the cheapest, best thing out there. So we could have a flood of new people. Ethically, that would be the wrong thing to do. And we've in fact got tighter on who we select. You and I have seen we've probably halved the percentage who we approve now. But when you look at when we took over 4 years ago, the average hourly rate that people are earning across our network, it's almost exactly double now. 4 years on, we've nearly doubled the average hourly rate of people in our... So our business owners are earning twice as much per hour. So in fact, our company has doubled without any increase in numbers of people on the ground, right? And that I think is just such a huge win all around for our business owners, and it's all hinged off that moral compass thing. We've got this great thing, a subscription model where we could let the world join, but it's like, no, we need to be focused on working with people, helping them be successful, and that's how we steer the ship.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's such a great point. We have got this world first product in a subscription model, and we have seen over the last few months, particularly, inquiry volumes skyrocket. Was it June we received almost 450 inquiries. Now, for other networks in Australia that are much larger than we are, that number is not significant. However, for us, 450 people in one single month making an inquiry about joining us is an enormous amount of people showing an interest in our network. And it would be so easy just to open the gates and say, if you're keen, come on in. You all feel like really great people, come on in. And for us instead, it's a case of saying, actually, we have some really strict criteria that you must meet in order for us to invite you in order for us to grant you a franchise. And that's not to say that the bar is impossible to jump over. It's just to say we really have learnt who is more likely to make a successful business in our network. And ethically, now we are only going to offer franchises to those people who we know are statistically more likely to make it work, and it's not impossible to meet those criteria. So many of those criteria are just basic things: a clean police check, being an Australian citizen, having some basic IT and admin skills to you. If you've got previous experience in sales or admin or management, to your advantage, but also not necessarily a requirement. We can teach you those things. What we actually mainly look for is your attitude. Are you prepared to take ownership over this? You're not our employee. You are a business owner in our network, so you have all of our support. We are on call. We will hold your hand. We will give you a gentle, healthy nudge in the right direction if you need it. We'll do all of those things, but we don't employ you. You're your own person. You own your own business. Are you prepared to take ownership for that? And what we see is that people who really are make it work, and they are successful in our network. And when they follow our system, it results in a strong, healthy business. So we've gotten really good at identifying those individuals, and they are the ones who we offer a franchise to, and other people who are just looking maybe for the work to be sent to them, more in a subcontractor kind of model, or, are looking really essentially for another employment kind of opportunity. We just know that you're not going to be the right fit for us. So, we could offer you a franchise. We could get you in. We could sign you up. We can train you up. We can do all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's not it's not ethical for us because we know that you're going to find it really hard to build a business. We know that we're going to spend an enormous amount of time supporting you, and we don't have any issues in spending time supporting someone, but we like to see that support translate to outcomes for the business owner. And in cases where we just know that that's not going to be the case, I just don't feel like it's ethical to offer a franchise. So yeah, we're chasing growth. We absolutely are. We think that we can be 2 to 3 times the size that we are now and be a very healthy network, but maintain control over our brand, our reputation, and maintain control over the quality of support that we're able to offer our business owners. But I don't think that we need to be enormous. We don't need to be the loudest. We just don't need to be. And I think our head office team, I mean, what do you think? I tend to think that our head office team operates so well together at the moment. If we were to grow and then need an enormous expansion to our team, what kind of impacts do you think that might have? You know, it's the team at the moment work really effectively, right?
It does. And I just think this journey, steering the ship, is part of it. Us as a leadership team, each step of the way, just reassessing, making sure we're staying true to our moral compass, which is to do the right thing by people, to act honestly and with integrity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, I want to share something that honestly, it feels slightly uncomfortable to share, but when I first sat down with your business partner and he said to me, "Oh, I'm thinking about buying a national franchise network," talking about James Home Services. And at the time I was working for him as a specialist business advisor. And so I would advise on sort of investments and opportunities that he was looking at. And he said, "I'm thinking about buying a national franchise network. I'm going to put you into the due diligence team." And due diligence is just a fancy way of saying that before you buy a business, you do a deep dive and you make sure that what you're buying is A, worth what you're valuing at it, and B, you know exactly what you're about to walk into if you do end up purchasing. He said, "So I think, I'll put you in on this due diligence team to do a deep dive on James Home Services." And I remember sitting opposite him that day, and when he said the words, "I'm thinking about buying a national franchise network and I might put you in on the due diligence team," I remember kind of thinking, oh, a franchise network. I don't really know if that aligns with my morals and ethics. I'm not sure if that's anything I want to be part of. And honestly, that feeling was based on nothing. It was based on pure naivety and based on never having had any involvement previously in a franchise network. And what I realized pretty darn quickly when I got in after meeting you for the first time and after talking more with your business partner about what you wanted to do and where you wanted to take this, I realized that actually the stigma around franchise networks and the stereotype around franchise networks for being unethical or for being not truthful, not acting with integrity, doing the wrong thing by their franchisees. Yes, there are those stories out there. There's a reason why the stigma exists. There are those stories. However, you and I, and our leadership team here at James, we decide how we operate this network, and we do not fit that stereotype. We do not submit to that stigma. There is not a decision in this network that we've made that doesn't have our franchisees and their best interests centralised, frankly. And even sometimes the hardest decisions we make, and we make the decision that is in the best interests of our network and not necessarily in the best interests of, say, the ownership at the time or our leadership team at the time. We find a balance, but at the end of the day, what we really want to make sure we're doing is steering our ship with that moral compass. And absolutely. I've now been engaged by James Home Services for over 4 years, 4 and a bit years now, I think. Yeah, four and a bit years. And I now have no hesitations whatsoever about being involved in a franchise network. And
that would make a good episode for another podcast, talking about franchising and where maybe that stigma's come from and what's reality, what's truth. And because obviously there's a reason a valid reason for your initial reaction.
Yeah, there is. That's right. But 4 years on, I can honestly say that, and 4 years of experience in this network has determined that we don't fit that stigma. We don't fit that stereotype. We do things very differently. And I think sometimes we don't actually act like a franchise network. You know, we act as a bit of a hybrid. You know, there's lots of things we do that are synonymous with franchising, and then there's lots of things we do that really kind of fit that bill as like a really entrepreneurial startup. You know, the way that we operate, the pace with which we move, the agility that you mentioned before that we're afforded because of our smaller size. You know, there are networks in our sector that just couldn't offer the subscription model because they're so large that volume of change is just almost impossible for them to be able to achieve because of their sheer size. And I think something that's quite important to us is that a smaller size means that we maintain agility, and the world moves at such a pace that agility is really important. And yeah, it's become a buzzword. Everybody says it, but we do it. We make decisions fast and we move fast. We implement fast. We change strategies on a dime. You know, one day we're going this direction, the next day we're changing it. And that's not to say that we're erratic in our decision making, but we are responsive and we are proactive. And that's the important part, I think. And staying smaller allows us to do that.
Yep. Yeah. Good.
Well, I think that is a natural place to leave this episode. I think you very naturally hinted, however, at what we should talk about in the next one. So thank you for everybody who's listening. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying the series, if you're finding it really helpful, throw us a like on the video. It really helps our channel. It helps to be able to show this video out to more people who might actually also gain some value out of listening or watching it. Throw us a like and leave us a comment. If what we're discussing has been really helpful, leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. Or if there's a topic we haven't tackled yet that you just want some straight up answers to. And look, frankly, even if you're not interested in James, even if you're just looking into franchising generally and you just want some straight up answers about how this industry operates, throw us a comment down below and we'll chat about it. We'll have a discussion and we'll give you some information and some insights that are relevant to us but might also be valuable to you. So we'll leave this one here and hopefully you'll join us in the next episode of The Real Franchise.